Welcome to another tutorial for Paddy for Lightroom. We're rapidly approaching version 1.0, and so I thought I would show where we ended up in our little selection box for functions. So if you remember, you can go assign either for your external keyboard here the X keys, keyboard, MIDI, or mouse, and whichever you pick on the right hand side here, you will have this box where you can select what you actually assign, in this case to wheel up, wheel down, middle button, right button, and combination of your control keys here. So the same in the X keys menu, and then again the same in let's pick the keyboard here for our example. So I just wanted to walk through what we have here, so let me move this a little bit into the middle here. Pick something here on the right, let's say M, or so we see what's happening. I'm going to just hit with my fingers here, if I can do it, Control-Alt-Shift-M, and we'll see. So this is where we ended up, and I think this is pretty final. We'll see whether some things still move around, but essentially this is what you use to assign stuff, so to speak, to that key that you selected. First one here, Paddy overall, has none, meaning nothing is mapped. Open the menu. This opens the Paddy user menu right at your mouse in case you want to use it. Under redo, sending the escape button, sending the enter key, showing what is actually mapped. It shows the keys and what's mapped through these keys in a little menu. And then this is going to vanish. The toggle colon black and white. We resolved this now by if you move a slider, it will ask you whether to move, basically. The next group here is this select and move slider. These are the functions where you click via a keyboard click, you select a slider and then you move it. So you can see under here basic development, temperature selection only. So if I pick this, now if I hit Control-Alt-Shift-M, I would select the temperature slider, and Paddy and Lightroom will tell me you selected the temperature slider. Same for tone curve, HSL, black and white, spot toning, essentially anything that is a slider in develop you can select here. Camera calibration, whatever you want. That would be your first keystroke, and then with another keystroke you would move this slider either up, small, medium, or large amount, and watch the video on what these means on the where you can assign how much that actually is if you want to change the default. Select the slider down. You can cycle the increment this way. The way this works, I showed again in another video. You hit the key and from that point on it's going to move in small increments. You hit it again, it's going to move in medium increments. Hit it again, it's going to move in large increments, and again small, just a normal cycle thing. The Lightroom method, if you want to move the slider, Lightroom has these functions where it can send a plus and minus to the sliders. That would be that. I recommend not doing this. Some users are using it. I don't like it. I like being able to influence in my amounts using the functions up here. And then you can also assign here, select the next slider, select the previous slider, and so on to basically cycle through here. So you could say, okay, pick the first one, and then adjust that, hit the next one, adjust that, hit the next one, adjust that, and with very few keystrokes you can actually go through the whole slider selection if you want. So this is one method. Second method you can do is you can move a specific slider. So say for the longest time, which is where Paddy actually started, Paddy started out, I wanted to move the temperature slider on my numpad here. So with numpad 7, I actually wanted to essentially just move the temperature slider a medium amount, and with 1 I wanted to move the temperature slider medium amount down. That's how Paddy started, quite literally. And you can see again all sliders are available, small, medium, or large. So when you hit the button here, the key here, the slider moves immediately by a small, medium, or large amount. Up here in those functions you have to select the slider and then move it. The advantage here is you need fewer keys to be mapped, because you just map essentially one key per slider and then two to move them. Down here you need to assign 2 keys per slider. Down here you need to assign 2 keys per slider, a large, a medium, and an up and down. So it can get pretty tedious at some point. We then have the MIDI functions, all sliders programmed to MIDI. This has to be separate than the others just for technical reasons. Then we have the MIDI toggle functions, where we have the sensitivity mode, for which we, I guess, need another video. Panels, these are toggles where MIDI buttons essentially toggle a function. So you push it once, the right panel opens, you push it again, the right panel closes. You can assign any other function here to a button on your MIDI controller, but this one, these are such that you can toggle them. The Behringer controller has these presets, and here you can move the Behringer controllers to their presets. This is very specific to what we are using. If you have other controllers, let us know, but these seem to work really well and are reasonably inexpensive. Then we have non-slider develop settings. There are a bunch of things in development that are not sliders. Target adjustment tools. These have really changed my world, to be honest. I never used them a lot, but now I can just with the push of a button go directly to target adjustment saturation, where you have this little thing in the middle of your picture. You move somewhere, you move with the mouse up and down. Hold the button, move the mouse up and down, and you adjust directly the saturation of that spot. And it's awesome to be able to get there with one mouse push of a button. Toggle develop adjustments. These are again toggles that you have here. Let me see whether I can show this to you. I'll try to go down here. These are these little toggles here where you can toggle HSL on and off. This is what this means by toggle develop adjustments here. Tone curve, select a tone curve. Lens correction, select your type of lens correction. The cycle defringe doesn't work at this point. We're having a hard time with that one. But you can pick directly what you want to do in defringing here. And then post-crop vignette, highlight color overlay. Then comes one of the more powerful or most powerful functions in Paddy. You can pick any development preset, assign it to a key, and Paddy basically applies that preset. You have our relative development presets in Paddy that I talked about at another point. You have filter presets, where you can preset for your create presets for the filters in the library module. These awesomely also work in the develop module. So if you hit one of these presets, you don't even leave the develop module and your pictures get filtered. I have to play more with this. I haven't used them so far yet, but it's a pretty cool function because you don't have to go back to the library. Adjustment brush presets, see the video on that one. I guess we have to do that, where we have presets for the adjustment brushes. I have none defined here, that's why this is empty right now. Paddy macros, where you can send several keystrokes by the push of one button. Again, I have nothing here. And camera profiles. The reason I have nothing here is I haven't assigned anything yet. Revert or reset sliders. The difference is reset is pretty clear. It just resets the slider. Again, any slider you want, you can reset, or just appear all sliders. And in most of these, you have also all in this group. So reset all basic, resets only basic. Reset all turn, resets only tone. Revert, Paddy has a built-in memory where basically it remembers the last time or the position of the slider before you moved it within Paddy. This only works with Paddy keys or MIDI. It doesn't work if you move the slider with the mouse. But this reverts it as opposed to resetting it. So if you played around with something and you can't quite remember where it was earlier, you can revert again any slider. Development tools. Direct access to obviously white balance, either without opening the panel or with automatically opening the panel. Crop, same thing. Obviously, you need the panel for the crop. Actually, you don't. You can do it without opening, and you can open it here, or you can select directly a crop ratio. Spot removal, same thing. Spot removal plus open the panel. Done with spot removal, etc. And what I typically do is I actually use only spot removal. For spot removal, I open the panel and I use just enter to exit, just on my keyboard. Red eye removal, same principle. Graduated filter, same principle. Adjustment brush, same principle. Copy, auto copy paste is really a mixed bag, but I couldn't find any other place to do it. This is stuff like auto tone, auto white balance, reset everything again here. Just for good measures. Paste previous, copy the settings, copy all settings with no questions. Literally, every copy settings opens up this little menu in Lightroom. This just copies everything. Copy like before, just copies the same way you had it done before. Meaning, if you had copied before temperature and I don't know color settings, then this would only again copy temperatures and color settings. Paste, sync, out of sync, etc. All the good stuff. Selecting anything that has to do with selecting a picture. Toggle filter, target collection, rejecting and moving, building stacks, etc. View and zoom. This has to do with how Lightroom presents itself and the picture. So before and after, zoom in, zoom out, toggle the zoom, next picture, previous picture, whether you are in grid or loop. Compare survey before after screens, and then the whole thing for the second screen as a sub bucket here. Navigation is essentially just go somewhere in Lightroom. Go to library, and you can see you can go to the library module or specifically to any of these sub panels. If these sub panels are not open, they will be opened for this. That's the whole point of this. So if you use, for instance, a lens correction a lot and you want to use your mouse, map this to a key, and then you go directly to the lens correction, regardless of what the settings were before. LL looks, this has to do with toggling panels, opening panels. These force open the panels. I always hated that in Lightroom you had these toggles, as opposed to just sort of saying, I want this panel open and I want this panel closed. So those work pretty well, and we are working a little bit more on those. For instance, you can have one thing here that I use a lot, which is full screen and film strip, because all these functions work without the panels open. I can move sliders in Paddy without the panels open. I work a lot in full screen and film strip now because I really don't need to do anything, and Paddy splashes the change in a control. Reading color flags, pretty self-explanatory. Reading color flags. And all other is quite frankly what was left over. Some help function, clicking, publishing, preview, starting the external editor, and renaming and showing in the Explorer are rarely used other than the publish key, to be honest, on these things. Run a script. You can see all my test scripts here, but Paddy has a scripting engine, and here you would assign one of these scripts to a key. So if I want L to be, my test script, you can see Control-Alt-Shift-L here is now assigned to my test script. And then largely, if you want to totally remap your keyboard for reasons that are unclear, but basically any key can now send any other key. So if you want, Control-Alt-Shift-L to send a number 8, this would actually send the number 8. Any other key, other keyboard, and the same is true for Control, Alt, Shift, Control, and so on. So you can, if you want, completely define your own keyboard. This was a very rapid move for everything Paddy can do. Any of this can be assigned to any key, with the exception of the media, I guess, which is solely for media. Looking forward to how people do this, and we on the boards now have actually, via the import and export functions in Paddy, opportunities to share our settings. So I encourage everybody to try that. Alright, thanks very much, and see you later.